On Socialist News and Views, we let folks introduce themselves. Do you want to just tell our audience who you are?
Yeah. So I'm Zach Harding. I am as I was just, we were kind of just chatting about, Nick. I'm recovering audio engineer. Used to record back in the day, a lot of artists in Minneapolis. Started a few businesses along that way in marketing and music and sales and stuff like that. And now just running for governor of Minnesota as an independent and going from there. Basically, just funny enough, Nick, what you were just saying, which is like all these people popping up, running and saying, who's backing these people? And that's exactly it. Nobody, right? It was just one of those things
Right.
where it was concerned citizen raising my hand and also kind of realizing like, hey, look, I want to try this, even if I fail, anywhere where I fail, right? And I don't really look at it as failure. I just want to start understanding how our democracy works more and
Right.
understand
Right.
why is it failing? What's actually happening?
Right.
And so that was part of the reason of jumping into was just like, how do I start to understand where these little failures are happening even on a local level? And I think that I found a few, and you were even mentioning a few as we were just talking here about like write-ins and things like this. But yeah, that's basically my background, just a concerned citizen, throwing my hat in the ring. And yeah, thanks for having me, Nick.
Yeah, yeah, I really appreciate you being on. I was also mentioning to you, we just had Steve Young and Jane Kirby on the show. They're the Green Party candidates for governor and lieutenant governor. Depending on who else shows up in this election, I might have more folks on the program. Um, do you have any thoughts on any of the other people running? I've said before a bunch of times, I'm not a big fan of Amy Klobuchar
Mm-hmm.
at all. And before anybody else that jumps on me, I'm sure I don't like any of the Republicans that are running either, that are fighting about running right now. What are your thoughts on the candidates? And then what do you think sets you apart as a candidate and makes you a great choice for governor?
Yeah, it's one of those things where my father always kind of taught me. He was like, "Look, you could spend your entire life looking at who's the competition is. You could just look at it
Right.
constantly, and you probably go nuts doing it." So I haven't really looked at it more. Amy Klobuchar is the only one that I kind of looked at, and part of the reason I decided to throw my hat in the ring was because during Operation Metro Surge and everything, I was helping in certain ways that I could. I was part of signal chat groups, but really, what dawned on me was that I was getting endless donation request texts from all types of legislatures, lawmakers, and even ones in Minnesota specifically during that time. And I was having a very difficult time getting a hold of these same lawmakers, right?
Yep. Oh,
Um,
so true.
so that was occurring, and then I was watching firsthand as some of people I know get abducted and get taken. Me and my wife we try to go to a few food drives. Like we helped in what way we could, right? Like anybody, you don't always know how to help, but you try to
Right.
raise your hand and you do the best you can. And there's no judgment on anybody. There's people that did way more than us, way more, right? And I think it's amazing. And what I saw during that Operation Metro Surge was that a government appeared out of nowhere, run exclusively just by people, just by concerned citizens, people getting food to each other, doulas going and helping birth babies because they didn't want to go into the hospital and get taken by ICE. Basically, a form of government formed in Minnesota through signal chats and through all this group texting, neighborism, basically, and that led me to question so many things. One, why can't I get a hold of my lawmakers? Why is it hard? Why is it like it take a week? Why can I get a faster response from Amazon than I can my government?
Right.
Right. And
Oh,
then
that's a great question. I have
yeah,
asked that
yeah,
question
yeah,
many
yeah.
times. Yes.
Right. And then number two, if I can't get a hold of you, why can you get a hold of me? Why can you keep asking me for donation requests? Why can you keep taking my taxes? Why can you keep doing these things to me? Basically, the one thing that our founding fathers feared was a government that felt they could do whatever they wanted to, right? And that was where I started to land. I started to land in this place where I was like, is there recourse? Like, wait, they tell us there is. They tell us that they're there to help us, but can the system even help us at this point? Because this isn't really the Constitution anymore. The government has been taken over by so much money that it really is just it's a subscription service now. That's what it is for us, right? It's a subscription service. Some of us get access to certain rights, some of us don't get access to certain rights. Charging for your ID, for example, and then saying you need it to vote. That's a poll tax. That's just illegal. It's not even something that needs to go to the Supreme Court. That right. They've said this before. So slowly I was watching just our government be taken, and then also watch the machine, the political industrial complex machine, ask me for money, then take that money, and then those lawmakers then spend it on Facebook ads and Instagram ads to make Mark Zuckerberg more rich with the money that they just asked me to donate to their campaign, right? And now all these campaigns are sitting there and they're going, hey, wow, like, look how well this campaign's doing. Look how much money it's raised, not how many people they've helped, right? Right. And so it's like everything was backwards. I was just like, this whole thing is backwards. And unfortunately, I do blame us. I say, like, look, we can elect better people. I actually really think we can. I think that gerrymandering is horrible and we need to stop it. But I also think we've lost the art of persuasion. We're so convinced now that if you have a D in front of your name, an R in front of your name, if you're a liberal, if you're a conservative, the conversation ends there. There's no more conversation. Now, once I label you, you are this person. So that's why I was like, I need to do something. Running as an independent for governor seems crazy and insane. And I agree. It basically is. But our government has now been taken over by people that really have no other interest than just enriching themselves, right? And you can see who right. AIPAC's donating to and all these others, right? We just know the game is out in the open now. And what I found is what drew me to run was when all that coalesced, when all of that was together, when basically our government treating me like a wallet, when I got so fed up with that, I realized I was like, well, we got to run as an independent, because when I go out and I'm like talking to somebody in Fergus Falls or Ottertail or Henning or one of these rural areas, and I go, I'm a Democrat, they just shut off. But if I'm an independent, they're like, oh, okay, well, tell me more. Oh, I don't really like how you view ICE. Okay, well, put ICE aside. Do you agree with the First, Second, and Fourth Amendments? Yes, I saw them being broken with my own eyes. Would you agree that that's not okay? Yes, I would agree with that. Cool. Let's chat a little bit. You're not going to like everything I say. You're not going to like everything I do. I'm not a god, right? But we can have a conversation and we can start reaching out a hand to some of those people, because they also feel duped too. They're not doing any better. Like rural Minnesota isn't doing better. Nobody in America is doing better. We're all just getting our money just ripped out from us. We're all struggling to survive. So that's kind of like my story of how I got in and why I chose independent, is just because I wanted to raise a hand and say, I do think that we can start electing better people. I think it is now time for a rebel alliance forming of all these disparate parties to come together and say, hey guys, we need to start building another, basically just a bigger coalition that isn't a party. Parties don't work. They take money, and then certain people in those parties coalesce around power and they decide who gets to. We just need to be running as many independent candidates as possible, right? And that's kind of where I started to come from. This is like, how do we in 10 years, 20 years, not now, it's going to take a long time, but how do we build infrastructure to make it so independent candidates can run? Because even in Minnesota right now, you pay $200, Democrat, Republican, you get on the ballot. You want to run for governor, you need 2,000 signatures in 14 days. Something's not right.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like our government is just it's not accessible anymore unless you have cash. So yeah, man, I could rant forever about this, but that's where I'm at. Is like, I raised my hand. I said, I'm sick of this. And I do think we can elect better people. I really do, but they need to show in their campaign how they're going to govern, how they're going to run. They need to give more back to the community in their campaign than they're taking from the community with cash. And if they're not doing that, they're not even candidates anymore. They're just part of this political industrial complex that's just there to make cash, right? Because like I've seen so many of these political consultants, because I've been in marketing for a while. I'm telling you, no one clicks those ads. Those donation ads. No one's clicking. You know what I'm saying, man?
Right.
Tossing money into the wind. So yeah, man, I'll get out of it, Nick. But that's basically me and why I'm running.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, before I would even get into like a deeply political whatever of why a person shouldn't run in the Democratic Party or the Republican Party or whatever. I mean, you just laid it out, like the amount of baggage that is associated with the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, or like other people have put it, we don't actually live in, it's not even a two-party, it's not even a duopoly, it's not even a two-party, it's a series of one-party states, because it's divided right down the middle pretty much. And like Minneapolis is all run by the Democratic Party, for example.
Yep.
And yet it's suffering these same things. I thought it was also really interesting what you said about how a government was built in Minnesota through signal chats, because it's absolutely true. It's so awesome to hear you say it the way, because I mean, that's another thing that is, consistently up for debate on this show is there any point in running anybody in this, what we would call like a bourgeois, electoral system, an electoral system that's, bought and paid for already by people like Trump and slightly better pretenders than Trump at like they care about people, but they don't, but they still make tons of money off of us. So do we work within that system, or do we build something else?
We didn't even need to. Minnesotans already did this, man. That's
exactly,
the thing.
right?
That's
we
the
just
thing.
need to rebuild what we already have.
Yeah. People just need to wake up for a second. The thing is yes. I get into this conversation so much with people, and the problem is everybody goes, well, woe me, right? Like the elites are going to kill you, or the elites are going to put so much money against you. Do you even know how hard it is to do this? Do you even look? I don't wake up in the morning and put on my pants and go, oh, I want to be governor. This job sounds like it sucks.
Yeah.
Like the worst would be actually getting in. I don't mean that like, and it would don't vote for me, but like, it's like the person who wants this job shouldn't have it.
Well, it's funny because that actually gets me to my other actual question that I wrote down, which was that I made a whole list. Well, because I have another friend, Steve Grumbine does the podcast Macro and Cheese. He's a modern monetary theory guy, but he's come to like politics more lately, but just criticizing the elections in general. He calls it he calls it cosplaying a democracy that doesn't actually exist. But just to give it a little more nuance, I put together this list why people might run in an election, like even an election that's stacked against us, if it's not just a win. And there was a whole bunch of stuff on there, obviously like propaganda as a pressure tactic in some way, just to, actually to recruit to an organization. There's just a bunch of reasons.
Yeah.
But like, so I think it's important to, to say like there is a reason that somebody could be running. So why are you running? I mean, you said you wanted to learn some things for yourself, but like, you're not saying don't vote for, you're saying, but
no.
Why are you running?
I am running like, because I want to win. I'm running because there's no plan.
Right.
Like look at Amy, like, we know they're going to come and they're going to take ballot boxes in the midterms.
Right.
We know they're going to do that. That's not like a thing that we need to now. Right. How far does it go? Do they send ICE agents to every place? Like, but I want a governor that's planning.
Right.
You don't need to tell me all the time you're planning for for shit hitting the fan, but it is going to hit the fan. And I'm sorry, but like we are now almost 2 years through this presidency. We still have 2 more years to go, and we don't think that it's going to get much worse by that. And I don't want to scare people. That's not what I'm here to do. What I'm here to tell you is prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Right. So if we plan for this, then we can actually get out of this as best as we can. I am not saying that as governor, I would be transformative in the sense of your life would suddenly be better. But maybe what we can do is we can take the learnings from what we did during Operation Metro Surge, where we built a government. And one of the things I want to start is Minnesota Listens. The idea is a 24-hour text line that you can get mutual aid resources, or you can also get state resources. But the point is that the governor's office always responds with whatever it is and then tracks this data. Who's struggling? Where are they struggling? Why are they struggling? Right? And with that data, they can provide much better information to the legislature. Hey, Dave, did you know in your place where your constituents are, they're suffering with blank, blank, and blank? Oh, hey guys, guess what? Dave doesn't care about that because he's bought and paid for.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you guys might need to vote a different guy in. I'm just letting you know. I'm not on anybody's side. I'm just a messenger. right? But if the government can't hear you or won't hear you, it can't help you. So that's one of the like my signature things is I want some way to start gathering data, because in the Minnesota Constitution, on the governor's actual line, like first sentence of their job description, I think it's like Section 5, Article 3, or something like that.
Right.
But you read it in there, and it's like the governor is supposed to deliver a message from the people of Minnesota to the legislature every session. How are you doing that?
Right.
How are you doing that? That was like my first question was like, how are you? Because I think you and I are going to agree. The system as is, I don't know if it's not that it can't need saving, but it's going to need to be cleaned by an outside system. Does that, you know what I mean?
No, I know exactly what you're talking. I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's also, I mean, I dig into this stuff a lot because I want to know how things can become better. I am not. I mean, I am a member of DSA, but I don't actually really participate that much. I did vote for it to be an anti-Zionist organization, but that's the only vote I've participated in. But it's like I'm not like beholden or like, you know, I don't have a. I've been in organizations where it's like you have a line and you're trying to like adhere to that line, but it doesn't work. It's not possible because. I'm not going to get into that, but it's like we need to do something differently. And also, yeah, like you said, an ombudsman or a third party of some kind. But really, any governor that's going to get in that is actually going to do anything good, the first thing is they have to admit that the way things are now is like completely not right. And it needs to be done differently, a lot differently than it is now. You can't get in there and say like, oh, yeah, you know, these
and again, you have to keep proving it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You have to keep over. Why is Zoran working? Because he's proving it over and over and over. He's saying, I hear you, I'm doing something about it. Or I hear you and there's limits to what I can do. Right? Oh, I hear you. And actually, this is stuff you guys can do.
Right.
I can't even do it. Go get a shovel. Go shovel some snow. Right? Like that's what a leader does. A leader actually goes out and inspires. A leader should be somebody who's actually out with the people at the protesting events or out with workers if they're struggling, you know, on the lines. Like what happened to
they want to actually see a resolution to the problem.
Yeah,
they just don't want it to just stop bothering them.
Yes. Like, what happened to these lawmakers that they're just so inaccessible? Like I watch these videos that some of these people put out, and I'm like, you just look like a robot. You look like you're writing it in.
Oh,
really?
Amy Klobuchar has been how these other people are now for like her whole time. Because like literally anytime I've ever called her office, her like staff like that I do talk to doesn't know where she is, doesn't know what her positions on anything are, doesn't know like how she's going to vote on anything coming up, doesn't know anything about her.
Well, we know what
so it's like she doesn't even talk to her. She doesn't even talk to her staff. Even give them talking points to lie to you with, or literally anything. She's been like absent since forever.
Amy,
the one person I got somebody who actually got her on the phone, like through, you know, kind of through the back channels at establishment, and like on a particular bill that was like overhauling the internet. Her reason for voting for it was because somebody else voted for it. That was her. Ultimately, that was her reasoning. So that's leadership. She's not. I mean, she's been phoning it in even by the standards of you know legislators for a while now. So
but it's our responsibility to get that out.
Exactly.
You know? And that's the thing is like I really want to start putting the onus on us. Like we can expect better. We can demand better. We can actually take what we learned during Operation Metros. Here's the thing. You don't need a party.
No,
we literally built a government just with signal chat groups. Imagine if we all had the same determination to get somebody elected.
No, it's true. Right? It's absolutely true. And that's what we need to do is you said we need all these independent candidates. And I do agree with that. But it is like you also said we need to get together. And I think we need to figure out how this process that like I know what you mean, because we do need all these different.
The Rebel Alliance is the best way I can figure out
we need to figure out how to like coalesce, because we do need to have some kind of like solid like coalition of neither of these candidates of these terrible parties are going to be governor of Minnesota coalition. Like it needs to happen. Even if they win, it has to be like the most hard fought.
It's just time for
like
a new party to come into the win. Yeah, it's just
like
it's just time.
They need to be out there at their giving their like speech about how they won, and they need to look sad. Like even if they win, like it needs to be that they need to be defeated that badly. But even if they do squeak out a victory, it has to like be so painful, and that's what we need to like. We need to come together to make sure that that happens, because it just cannot be one of these two discredited parties anymore. And I think all a huge, if not the majority, a huge minority of people, I think, have come to that realization.
I think it's more like I was with people last night that were kind of middle of the road. One was libertarian, one was,
Sure.
we were chatting, and he was like, "Look, I'd vote for you too." The one thing I think is the bummer right now is this whole. I don't want to see it wasted, all the suffering we've gone through as Minnesotans. And I don't mean that as like, it sounds crude
Right.
saying wasted, but when you travel around the US right now as a Minnesotan, people look to you. They
No, it's
look
true.
to you. They're like, wow, like, hey, thank you for what you did. Thanks for standing up. Thanks for pushing back. Right now, if we got the right next governor, if we got the right next person in this office, they could take that momentum and maybe start to really do some change in Minnesota that could really bring back some more federalism here, some more of this idea that like Madison and Hamilton had of being like the state should be stronger. And I used to kind of be on the opposite side of this. I was like, why can't the states not? Because sometimes Texas would act weird, and I'd be like,
Right.
but I'm learning more and more now. It's like I am becoming much more like maximum freedom. Like as much freedom as I want to give you as much freedom as possible, but I want to make sure that you're as safe as possible and
Right.
you thrive, not just survive, But
Right.
Minnesota
Right.
has this opportunity. We're looked at, and I'm like, if we had the right person, we could leverage that to maybe get together more states and being like, especially if it was an independent there, like, oh my
Right.
God, an independent got in. Oh my God, they're doing really good at governing. Oh my God, all these other states, it just takes one to break the
Right.
glass ceiling, right? Like, and then suddenly everybody
no,
starts
and
going,
I mean,
oh God. And
people will point to, we've had Jesse Ventura. So it's not like it's like
not
having
crazy.
somebody who's not in the Republican or Democratic Party coming to be governor in Minnesota. Not crazy at all. And then I was just looking at I just saw a headline right before I got on here, the Big Picture Substack. The most important voters in 2026 didn't even vote in 2024.
Yeah.
Just talking about how, and it's not just the people. Well, I don't know if they cover all this, but not just the people that didn't actually vote, but also there's a huge group of young people that might not even be registered to vote and couldn't have even voted in that last time. And to be honest, if we're going to win a governor in Minnesota, it's going to be bringing in all these new people that have never voted, never
1.7 million.
Exactly. So
that's the target. And that's what I tell people is like, because I'll get some people are like, they're worried. They're like, hey, what if you split something or whatever? Right. and I'm like, dude, let's not even get our cart before our horse. Like, you know what I mean?
People are already planning their defeat before they've even tried anything. And I'm like, come on.
I mean, thanks for thinking I'm that threatening.
I know, right? Exactly. Yeah.
I don't even have a home.
Right.
Like me and my wife are just living at like friends and family and parents because we're paying down some debt that we have. And I'm like, this is the best way. Like, I'm not threatening. I'm just literally, I'm surviving just like everybody else is. Yep. Just like everybody else is. And I know it's not right because I can even see my families. Their money is dwindling. Their retirement may not come. Right. It's like, and it's really hard to just now I know people have been struggling. I'm not trying to say that my struggle is any more than anybody else, but I am trying to say it's no longer anybody can escape it anymore. Like, I don't think even if you're a good doctor or a lawyer, like, I think you're feeling the pinch too. When they say the top 1% pay for 40% of the tax revenue, those are doctors. Those are high-end professors. Those aren't the Elon Musks. That's a complete, never think that that's what that is. Right. And even they're getting squeezed too. Not saying that it's the poorest among us. I'm just saying everybody now is. And I think that's what happens when there's so much corruption. Like, we saw it you see it in Russia. The people are just dirt poor because the government's been pillaged. Right. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we find out after this, like, we go to Fort Knox and it's just empty. Like,
there you go.
Know what I mean? Like, it's like, it is wild to see. Well, how about you? What's been your view of what's been happening? Where do you see Minnesota kind of going next? What could it be in these next 2 years that we kind of have to, and who knows how much longer? We don't know if it's the next 2 years. years. But like, what do you see? Even let me be even more specific. Midterms coming up, because that's really what got me going. Like, I'm like, I see no plan to protecting our vote.
No,
You know?
no. And like you said, yeah, it could be even more than that. Like, it shouldn't even just be protecting the vote. It should be like, how do we like educate the whole rest of the country about what they need to be doing? Because they're looking to us, like you said, which I 100% agree with, because after I've traveled around the country, it's so clear that, yeah, everybody's looking to us. And then what you said about even the wealthy, well, it's like, it's actually true though. Even the wealthiest Americans experience higher mortality rates, worse health outcomes than citizens in other developed nations. That's even up to the highest income. Like, even
it's
compared
getting
to a
all
poor
of us.
person, it's that bad.
Yeah,
so
it's getting
like,
all of us.
It's so bad. And then what did I wanted to pull up one other little quote here before we wrap up here, which was which I really like, which was from Bayard Rustin, who basically organized the March on Washington with Martin Luther King. But like, he was basically the person behind it who made everything actually happen. And I just want to make sure I get the quote right. So give me 1 second. But
while you're looking that up, it reminds me of this one by, I think, Margaret Beam or Mead or so, where it's I think she said, never underestimate a couple, committed and determined citizens from changing the world. In fact, that's the only thing that ever has.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
I'm like, and that's the thing, man. Like, I know I look crazy. Trust me, I look in the mirror. I'm like, I look insane.
But
what
he said was, and this is like, because he was he was the one who actually convinced Dr. Martin Luther King to commit 100% to nonviolence, not just tactical nonviolence, but like, the whole. But anyway, what he said was, loving your enemy is manifest in putting your arms not around the man, but around the social situation to take power from those who misuse it, at which point they can become human too. Bayard Rustin. So, it's about creating this system that actually works for everybody, even those super rich people that shouldn't even exist. It's even going to be a system that can meet their
and using
their
love
needs.
to do so.
Exactly.
Right. And I think I know the people I've talked to them about getting signatures. Like, that's, so you sound like a hippie, but I actually really do believe we can lead with love. We can lead with compassion. You can have a government that does that and is more effective. I truly believe that. And we know that because, again, all those signal chat groups, people just pouncing up to offer help, even when they got nothing in return, because they just wanted to help, because that's what humans are. That's what Americans are. That's like that. And if you boil this all down, we just want to help each other. And if we can incentivize that more, if we can build culture around that ego more, that we're helpful people to each other, I think that America can shine and be really bright. And I actually think we already want that. I think we're just convinced that it's not the case because we have these oligarchs that feed us goop through our phones of just anger and rage, right?
Right.
And it's a bummer, because I don't know about you, but I go out and I see, if you didn't know we were heading towards authoritarianism, when you went outside, you would realize that the world is a beautiful place.
Yeah, no, the people that I meet in real life are great. The internet people, not so much, but it's like, I mean, people have just been so propagandized, and they have such low expectations for the government because it's been delivering so little for the last.
How do you fight that? How do you fight that apathy? Like, what's your kind of view on that?
Mine. I think everything you're highlighting is the truth. I mean, you have to just remind people, what they think. And I mean, when people talk about, human nature, that's the big thing. Well, what is human nature? Is it greedy and whatever? Because like, I see humans doing stuff that's not greedy all the time. I mean, just let's ask anybody that has like kids or whatever, right? Like, literally everything they do is for their kids. They don't even sleep. And yet they are convinced somehow that people are greedy and are just doing things for themselves.
I don't think we would have survived if we were greedy.
How is that possible? Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think we would have been able to get. I think mammals are inherently, just look at whales. Look at, like, they just love their children. They love their offspring. I think even Donald Trump loves his kids. I saw a video of him with his youngest. His like youngest niece, and you can just see it. His total grandpa. loves his niece, right? Like that's just like, I don't, and you can, everybody can say with pedophile, whatever they want to call him, but like there's human in all of us. I really do believe that there is something there. We just have horrible incentives in our system that create cruelty, and it's meant to create cruelty. It's meant to create greed. It's like turning into like a dark Jedi, right? Like
Right.
Sith, right? It's like it goes from one step to the next, from anger to hate to these different stages, and it just corrupts even the people that we want to believe are the best of us. I think it's
Right.
just, it's going to take us time, but like I think you're on the same page with me. It's just going to take time, but we can get out of this. I want to make sure people don't let anybody ever tell you that this is the way it is and it will stay this way, because that's just somebody that wants the system. It's working for them then.
Well,
Right.
like I think you said, I mean, I think if we actually had a real democracy in this country, we would already be on the
You're
track.
totally right.
Whatever.
Yes.
It's just we
Yep.
need to figure
Yep.
out how to make that actually happen.
Yep.
That's the biggest impediment
It's
at
the
this
plumbing.
point. But the fact that there's so many people like rising up now, I mean, it is going to happen. It's just a case of like what it's going to look like, and the more.
Have you ever thought of running? You yourself?
I definitely. Like I said, I ran that write-in campaign against
The write-in campaign.
Klobuchar.
Yeah.
I got 11 votes, but through my own assessment, I definitely got more than that. But they don't count them properly,
Yeah.
even though they say they're going to. And actually, I also found out there's a lot of other third-party write-in people, actually, including right-wing ones that I never even heard of or even knew about.
Yeah.
All kinds of weird religious parties, and I was like, wow.
So they do that October 19th date right in, basically. Like you submit paperwork for that. So
yeah, it's just
you just count it.
All that. Yeah, it's just like it's just basically like a form with your name and who you are and like where you live, that you're a real person or something, and that you want them to actually count the votes. But like I said, it's like some locations seem to actually count those write-in votes properly the way that they're supposed to, but some don't, because like I asked like some workers at different places, and it seemed like some were definitely not counting any of the write-in votes. But again, if you don't have enough write-in votes to meet the whatever, then so I don't know what the actual rules of those are, but like they seem to count some of the other ones, because some of the other people had hundreds, 600, 500, 400, whatever. Like I said, some of them were super conservative parties I've never even heard of, or some that kind of sound good, but then they have like a weird
yeah
tag on there, and you're like, huh, okay, that's interesting. But yeah, there's other parties out there. It's just they don't get any coverage whatsoever in the media, which is why I'm trying to do, which is
and I
do
think
what I do.
Yeah, well, and I love that you do what you do too, because here's the thing. I also think it's up to us. Like one of the things is, regardless of like of this run, Minnesota Listens, I want to keep around in general, because I do think campaigns should show through something of how you're going to govern. How are you going to try to interact with people? Because my thinking is like, you were kind of talking about these write-in votes and everything like this, is how do we actually start to, rather than waiting for these parties, the Democrat Party or Republican Party, to pick candidates for us. And I know people will argue, well, people can join the, I get that they can pay, they can get on. There's kind of a primary. It's not really that case.
No.
But what I found is that sometimes I'm just calling this what this is, and you can put me in this bucket too. It's totally fine. Sometimes the people that go and they seek out the office are not always the best people for the position.
I was going to say almost always,
right? Almost always, right? And I'll put my hat in that too as well, right? Like I said, I don't have any experience in actual governing, but I have a ton in business, and maybe that's not good now because you look at what Donald Trump is, and he's supposedly a business guy. I honestly think he gives it a bad name, but I do think that it is one of those things that it's going to be like, how do we build, kind of going back to what we were talking about building like a rebel alliance? Like in the rebel alliance, they had mercenaries. They had some people that were true believers. Some people were just idiots, right? But they had everybody, and everybody was in there trying to go towards this one goal. And I think it's like, how do we in Minnesota start to work with these independent parties, or even just independent people in general, and start to say, what if we went out into the public and we actually said, hey, we'll host events. We'll go to the places not the union meetings, not the city councils, because trust me, all those people, they're the loud voices. We've heard them. Trust me.
No,
we want to hear from the people that are not being spoken to, that aren't that, because that's one of the things when I was doing my signature gathering, I did this thing I called Park It in the Park, where I actually just set up a thing with cornhole and blankets, and people just hung out and chatted with me. And people said, this is way more relaxing, engaging with you this way. And why wouldn't more people do things like this, where you're actually out with people that aren't at the city halls? Not saying that those people aren't important. I'm just saying sometimes we hear those voices and we're not hearing other voices. And maybe there's people in there, maybe there's diamonds in the rough that if we could find them, we could be like, you should run. Have you considered it? Have you ever considered it? Right? Because I don't know if you've ever heard of Run for Something. Have you ever heard of that organization?
It sounds vaguely familiar.
They do it for like Democrats, basically. They help you run.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And I'm like, what if we just did it for independents? Like, what if we just had a system that could help vet and find some people and actually offer them the gig, not the gig, but the idea to run? You get what I'm saying?
Well, no, I know. You should definitely listen to other, there's like almost 300 episodes of my podcast you can listen to.
I'll check them out.
And it goes in like, so another, which I actually haven't covered it much, that I would like to cover more. I don't know if you're familiar with like sortition. So sortition is like basically it's a government of lottery, where you just lottery elect people, but then you have to actually provide them the support with which they would be able to govern, right? Like, if they have 10 kids, you can't just be like, well, you got to figure it out. No, you've got to be able to provide everything that makes it so they can actually govern as that person. So like you have to like put the things in place so that any like, normal person could be it. And actually all the evidence thus far of the few like there's a few examples of them using it for specific projects, like in France and stuff. It works better. It works better. It works better even than a government of experts. Like if you let's say you want to tackle an issue like the climate and you get like 10 or 20 climate experts, a sortition performs actually even better, because the people actually like it actually matters to them and their community is like,
well, that's the same how
businesses it performs better than a group of experts, and it certainly performs better than a room full of politicians.
Well, yeah, because this is how businesses used to be, that nobody cared what the CEO of a business was.
Right.
They were like in and out, and their salary was only probably, if you made 20K a year, they were making 200, right? But now it's billions of dollars, right? And I really do think that, to your point, like when a good sign of a business is when the person at top changes and nothing, it just keeps going.
Right.
It keeps going, right? And it can keep functioning. And I'm not saying that these people at the top necessarily like are not doing anything, but I am saying that governments, I think one of the things I remember somebody saying to me was, every time a new governor comes in, it's almost $10 million just changing people out that don't need to be changed out, because they actually are just doing their job. They're not political people in the first place. Are they doing a good job? And the other reason I wanted to run independent was just on the same note of 1/3. I looked this up. 1/3 of every year, if you're a governor, if you're a Republican or Democrat, is spent fundraising for that party.
Right.
1/3 of your whole year. You know how much time I could use with that? Helping Minnesotans. Right? Like,
I mean, not to mention when Waltz was running for vice president or whatever, like that was a whole thing that was taking him away from literally everything. Like that absolutely should not be allowed.
Well, and it's crazy how they spend their money too. Like, because if you look at how he did his ad spend for the last time he ran for governor, did you know it was almost like 60% of most of the ad spend was in the last week, 2 weeks.
I believe
I get it.
Well, they blew like $1 billion on like their last, I don't even know what they blew $1 billion on right at the end, but
yeah.
It's insane how much money they can blow money on. Yeah. Just that's the thing. They've got to get rid of it. Right. So
that's it. That's exactly it, right? They have to in some way, because they can't. Well, but it's just, I don't know, man. It's just so they're just getting.
It's like the movie Brewster's Millions. If you've ever seen that, it was got to like get rid of all the money. Like then you just start buying like the most. Stupid
you buy
stuff.
The stupid stuff, and that's you're nailing it. That's exactly what I've realized.
You're incentivized to do the dumbest thing ever.
I realize that there's a lot of political. It's the same with these political contractors. A lot of these contractors have been doing this so long. They're the same people that do your marketing for each campaign. I've been looking them up. I know which companies they are.
That is like, the DNC. The DNC is the contractor.
And I'm like, this is this is no longer, I know exactly what type of business it is because I never wanted to be one of these businesses.
Right.
You are one of those consultants that comes in, you hire them, they tell you everything you're doing wrong, and then they ask you for a big check and then they leave. Yep. Right. Like, and that's all these guys are, is they're just, they're part of the machine now. And I'm like, to your earlier comments, like, how do, if we know, like, the thing is, we all know the problem is. I think we all know what it is. We know it's Citizen United. We know it's this, and this. So do you think that, because my gut is, if it's not now, by the end of this presidency, I think we're going to see a major event from the party's basis, either independents rising up or a independent that builds a new party. You get what I'm saying? Basically, their run causes a new party to start to form near them. Is that kind of how you're thinking in the next 10 years? Like, if you're looking at this, do you think there's a shift like that? Kind of like how we used to have, I don't know, what were they called? Whip.
Well, I mean, I think, I don't know exactly if I'm on track with what you're saying, but like, I think if, for example, they talk about, like, you know, some kind of split within the Democratic Party, for example, because there's still a lot of people that participate in the Democratic Party that have, I mean, and probably the same on the Republican side too, but they have nothing to do, like it doesn't literally, like, nothing they do has anything to do with what any of these people believe, as far as I can tell. And so, like, what is that rupture going to look like? I mean, it would be better if somebody who had some name recognition left the Democratic Party and, like, brought people with them or something like that, so to speak. I think that leaders can play a role like that if they do. But like you said, a lot of people that choose to be leaders are not the kind of people that try to bring other people along with them and try to actually solve these problems. That's the thing. So like you said, it is often better if you choose leaders that don't want to be leaders. But again, you need to build a whole infrastructure to do that. That's to do something like that. So, but I think that it totally is true. And I think many people would agree that a lot of times the best leaders are people that aren't, like, trying to be leaders. They're, in fact, you know, a lot of times they're trying to be, you know, people that are trying to solve the problem so they don't have to be involved in it.
Dude, that's
literally, they're trying to work themselves out of a job.
That's how I feel. I'm like, I just want to fix it so that I can go back to building a game store. I want to build the world's biggest
once
game
somebody
store.
solves the problem, we should give them like a 6-month vacation, not give them more work to do.
Yeah,
like, that's
exactly.
not going to incentivize them to solve any problems. So,
well, that's exactly it. Yeah. Well, I mean, for the most part, man, I think you and I align on what I think needs to happen. And, you know, this run, I have no issue, and I don't mind people being like, dude, you're insane. This is like, isn't going to, I get it. I've heard all of it. I mean, the
structural things are completely separate from the political things potentially anyway, right? Like,
that's how I feel.
All, like, I want Republican voters in, you know, greater Minnesota to have a voice in what's going on too. Like,
me too,
because clearly they don't.
Yep.
I mean, if you ever travel to anywhere, you know, like in rural Minnesota, you know that they don't, because nothing in their town is going the way that they want it to be.
Yeah, exactly. They when you speak to them, they sound very, and I don't like hearing that in anybody's voice. This is all our country, all our democracy, you know. And we all deserve to feel like it's listening. Again, back to that Minnesota Listens. It's like, I just want to show people that we're listening, because I don't feel heard by our government.
Well, I was gonna say, that's what you can do. I mean, after this run, regardless of whether you win or don't win, because I don't like, you know, I have no idea what's going to happen between now and then. Like, totally. It would be to anyway, but the thing that would be like this Minnesota Listens thing, like, just keep pushing that, like, get all these other candidates to sign on to it or whatever.
That's what I'm thinking.
That they'll agree that they'll have something back to people within 24 hours, that they'll keep data of this stuff. I mean, these are like you said, I mean, this is how we push that stuff, because until we actually know what's going on, we can't even ask for what we want, because we don't even know what it is.
Yes, that's exactly it. Yes, you're naming it.
We don't even have the data. We don't even have the data to say what we
want. Yeah, we don't even, because I've looked into it. There's a lot of varying opinions even about property taxes, for God's sake, right? Mm-hmm. But the thing is again, if you're nailing it. What I saw with that Signal chat was, okay, if we communicate, that's the key. If we can communicate more clearly with each other, everybody's like, what's your big plan, your big dream? I know it sounds stupid. I know it seems like it's just a text chat. I get it. But here's the thing. If we can coordinate, we can build mountains,
a government,
right? We can build a whole
if that's what we
government.
think is
If
needed,
that's what
or we
think
can
is
just do
needed.
the things
You're
without
nailing
building a
it.
government.
Yes, you're nailing it. Yeah.
So it's like, yeah,
it, Nick.
exactly.
Yeah.
We know this is what we're on this track. Like we need to do this some way or another, because what we have now, we're just dragging along this system that is so outdated. And
We know
pointless.
we need to do it. It's just when. Like when
Yeah.
when's the time? Like we know it's about, and I think you agree, Nick. The more people I talk to, I think more people have woken up. I don't know about you, but like
Yeah.
I've talked
Oh,
to
yeah.
a lot more people, and they're much more aware. Like I guess when you start painting building a ballroom and a stone.
I mean, it's so
triumph,
obvious. I mean, it's so obvious. I mean, it couldn't be any more obvious. It's almost like he's. Sometimes I think he's on my side because he's so obvious. I'm like, he's trying to just get things going, like just like get people pissed off, because how could he be possibly any more tone deaf? But he is. I mean, he's just that out of time. I mean, that's how far the gap.
Well, when
is.
you think
the
you invented the word grocery,
I know.
I think you're a little out of touch. That's when somebody says he was a multimillionaire at age 8. You realize what that means, right?
Yeah. All inherited.
Yeah, all inherited. Not didn't do anything himself.
Did not do anything.
And again, that's fine. But I hate all these stories of people that are like, pull yourself by the bootstraps or
I like the. No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's always socialist whenever we help people, but if we help companies, it's not socialist at all. It's capitalism. It's just bullshit.
He's an interesting fellow in a way. I don't know. It's just he just boggles the mind. Yeah, it's socialism if you do things for anybody else, but if you're doing things for corporations, it's just
capitalism.
It's just, oh well, that's no. I was gonna say when he supposedly, once he reached $10 billion, if you said he didn't have $10 billion, he would sue you for $10 billion. Remember that part?
Billion. Yeah.
So,
oh god.
Well, I really appreciate the chance to chat, Zach.
Yeah,
is there anything else you want to say before you go? You want to just let people know how to find you and stuff again?
Yeah, for sure. You can find me on any of the social medias. That's Zach, ZAC. I dropped the H as a young kid and never knew I did it until my parents told me. So ZAC L Harding at any one of the ats. And then my website's zacforgovernor.com, ZAC4governor.com, the letters FOR. So you can check it out. And yeah, text Minnesota Listens if you want to communicate with me, if there's any, types of policies you're looking for, or if you just need any resources.
Much appreciated, Zach. Have a wonderful day.
Have a good one, Nick.
Take care.